Tonight, we drift beyond the edges of sleep, into a place where every closed door hides a secret. Welcome, dear dreamer, to room 207. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the story find you. A Sleepy Storyteller production. It was late when Thomas arrived at the small hotel on the outskirts of town. The rain was relentless, falling in heavy sheets that blurred the world into smudges of gray and black. His shoes squelched with each step as he dragged his suitcase across the slick pavement and into the lobby. The hotel was peculiar. Old-fashioned wallpaper peeled at the corners. The lighting was dim, casting long, trembling shadows. Behind the desk sat an elderly man, smiling politely, yet there was something unsettling about his stillness. "Good evening," Thomas said, brushing rainwater from his jacket. "I have a reservation." "Thomas Reed." The man nodded slowly, reaching for a large, brass key attached to a wooden tag. "Room 206, he said, voice low and gravelly. "Second floor. End of the hall." Thomas thanked him and made his way upstairs. The staircase creaked under his weight, the wood groaning like an old memory. At the end of the narrow hallway, a single light flickered weakly, barely illuminating the numbered doors. As he approached his room, he noticed something odd. Across from 206 was 207. But room 207 looked different. The door was ancient, the wood darkened, almost rotten, with cracks running like veins across its surface. Unlike the others, its number was carved directly into the wood, not painted. And there was no keyhole. Only a black iron handle, cold and uninviting. A chill ran down Thomas's spine. But shaking off the feeling, he entered his room, closed the door behind him, and locked it firmly. The first night passed uneventfully, save for the dreams. He dreamt of whispering voices. Soft, unintelligible, yet somehow urgent. When he awoke, the whispers seemed to linger, curling in the corners of the room before vanishing with the morning light. He blamed the unfamiliar bed. The storm. Travel stress. The second night, the whispers came again, but this time, he was awake. He lay frozen beneath the thin blanket, listening as the soft murmurs floated through the air. At first, he thought it was the wind. But then he realized, they were coming from across the hall. From room 207. By the third night, Thomas could no longer pretend it was his imagination. At exactly 3 minutes past midnight, a soft knock echoed down the hallway. Once. Twice. 3 times. He peered through the peephole but saw nothing. Only the wavering light and the endless, empty hallway. Unable to resist, he opened his door and stepped out. The air was damp and heavy, thick with the scent of old wood and something metallic. He turned toward room 207. The door was ajar. Just slightly. A sliver of blackness beckoning him forward. Thomas knew he shouldn't. Every part of his body screamed to turn back. But something stronger, curiosity, or perhaps something else, pushed him on. He crossed the hall in 2 silent steps and placed his hand on the cold, iron handle. The door swung open without a sound. Inside, the room was wrong. It looked untouched for decades. The wallpaper was yellowed and curling, furniture covered in dusty white sheets. The fireplace, once grand, was now a gaping, sooty maw. A cracked mirror hung on the opposite wall, reflecting a distorted, broken world. And there, in the center of the room, stood an armchair, facing away from him. Something sat in the chair. A figure, unmoving, shrouded in shadow. Thomas tried to speak, to ask if someone needed help, but no words came out. His mouth was dry, his throat tight with fear. The figure slowly turned its head. Not the chair. The figure. The glimpse he caught was fleeting, just a flash, but it was enough. Eyes blacker than midnight. A smile too wide, too still. Thomas stumbled back, heart hammering in his chest, and slammed the door shut. He ran to his room, locked the door, and pushed the dresser against it. He didn't sleep that night. Or the next. When he checked out 2 days later, the receptionist barely acknowledged him. Just slid the receipt across the desk with a crooked smile. Thomas left without a word. But even as he drove away, rain pounding against the windshield, he couldn't shake the feeling that room 207 wasn't done with him. Weeks later, back in his own apartment, Thomas began to hear the whispers again. Soft at first. Then louder. Knocking. Every night, at 3:03 a.m. And sometimes, just for a moment, he would glance down the hallway and see a door that didn't belong there. Old. Dark. Numbered 207. Waiting. Always waiting. Candle sparkles.